Out.
Yeah, that's
There you go. Everybody has blue eyes today. Lovely. That's okay. It's tough. Everybody's really hard being modeled. That's why it's hard. That's why it's like not as easy as you think. Lovely. That's lovely, Chloe. Everybody looks great. Okay, what is it? Thank you. Lovely. So growing out my body hair was kind of part of the process where I was trying to take back my body in a way from the rest of the world, so that actually it's my body. I need to be able to do whatever I want with it. It's not, I don't want to spend the rest of my life trying to mold myself into some sort of ideal feminine, form. That's not what my body's for.
Well, I know at first I did shave. I went and tried shaving my legs and everything, but unfortunately I have permanent goose flesh. I think you know what that means. And so I always catch that with the razor, and so it was one of those things where it's, right, I can either be hairy or I can have blood dripping down my arm. Which do I want? So that I decided, after I think probably only about 10 attempts of doing it, this isn't right, something's wrong. So I went out and bought wax strips, and I did not enjoy that experience at all. So I was probably only about 14 when I decided to stop shaving and waxing regularly.
My mother didn't let us shave anything, so so that's what started it, was that we didn't have permission to do it as children. So my mother, I'm not entirely sure what her thinking was. I think a lot of it was that it was just a choice that needed to be made by adults, not by children, so that we could make that choice when we were older. But we certainly weren't considered adults as teenagers. So there's three of us. None of us were allowed to shave. I think my one sister just did it anyhow. She just ignored my mother's rules, and then my youngest sister, she didn't shave. And probably the fact that I didn't shave probably made it easier for my younger sister, knowing somebody else who didn't.
Basically, it hadn't occurred to me that you could not remove your body hair, and then I saw a friend with armpit hair, and I was like, you can do that? And it was pretty much like, you can do that? Fine, I will do that, kind of thing.
It was only literally about 4 or 5 years ago when I tentatively took my first steps into feminism. And I remember going to a meeting. I think I just happened to be in the town, happened to see it. It was called Lady Fest Leeds, I think. And I went along to a workshop, and there was a woman who was holding the workshop who had a summer dress, hairy armpits and hairy legs. And I remember sitting there going, oh my gosh, she's so brave. She's so brave. And I remember being almost fixated by this woman who was so brave as to stand up, and I was thinking, I wonder what people think about her when she's on the bus. I wonder if people say things to her. I wonder why she's done that. And all these questions going on in my head, because it completely challenged everything, because shockingly, up until that point, I had not seen a woman with hair publicly. So that's the first real consciousness raising point I can remember. But it wasn't for a good year or two after that before I started to think about doing that myself.
People do tend to stare. Sometimes I think that's just because most people haven't really seen women who have their kind of natural body hair intact, because it is quite rare. So I understand that from a sort of, wow, surprised perspective. That can be difficult at times. Sometimes I think it's kind of funny, and I quite like shocking people, because it's so stupid, it's hilarious that me not shaving my armpits is somehow shocking.
I think in school there was a lot of kind of like, because it was at such a young age, there was a lot of bullying, a lot of kind of like everything from like parents to strangers, pretty much, people say stuff. And I hate saying this, but you get used to it. And I don't think that you should have to get used to it because it shouldn't be an issue, but you do. It's sort of a given now.
I don't remember any occasion apart from, I guess I would have been 17, and I had a friend, a male friend, who made quite a lot of comments about my underarm hair, to the point where I did feel sort of bullied about it, and I said to him, fine, I'll shave it, and I did, and then I said to him, I was like, look, you know, a big difference, you know, are you happy now? What do you think? Like, you know, and he said, he's like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't really look that different at all, does it? He's like, and then just stopped and never said anything again. And then I never shaved my armpits after that. And it really was done more to just sort of show the person, like, you know, are you happy that you pressurized me into doing something so stupid as this? And also just that really aesthetically, it made no real difference.
The only negative response I've ever had, has been from a work colleague about 2 months ago. Now, I'm very open as a feminist at work, and the other day they were talking about shaving and hair, and I had to jump in, and I just said, I don't. And the man opposite me said, well, he didn't say anything actually, he went, ugh, 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 in a work meeting. And I looked over and I thought, oh my God, I don't know what to say. And I said something that sounds a bit silly now, but it was the only thing that popped into my head. And I leaned over and just went, you are so socialised. And that was the best I could come up with.
I think at the moment, having no body hair at all is kind of fetishized in that I think it's partly like you get the kind of prepubescent no pubic hair look, which is kind of,
it makes you look like a child.
Yeah, it's a bit
which
corny.
I find that a little creepy, that they're trying to make women look like children. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly about profit. I think if they could make a lot of profit making women look really hairy, they'd do that instead. So, but
well, you could have a lot of shampoo and conditioner sold.
Yeah, I could be like dyeing it or having like curling it with little curling tongs or something. But
I think it's a very arbitrary standard that's just been imposed on us, that women shouldn't have body hair. And I think, I think that's a really stupid idea, because naturally women do have body hair, and I think pushing women to conform to this ideal that isn't at all how women actually are, or what women actually look like, is part of a pretty oppressive way of treating women in society. It's kind of treating the female body as if it's something wrong with it.
I'm from Pakistan. Well, my parents, I was born here, and we're Muslims, so there's a lot of really nice kind of cultural influences that kind of happen around this conversation of body hair. With body hair, in terms of an Islamic perspective, women shouldn't shave, as in using kind of razors, because I don't know the heavy details on this, but I was been told that metal shouldn't touch a woman's body in the sense of shaving. So we would kind of use depleted grains, waxing, etc. around that. But we can't have pubic hair that's longer than a grain of rice. And same with armpit hair. That's more a religious kind of take on it. But if you don't remove that hair, your kind of prayers won't be accepted, because you won't be fully clean. So you have to kind of clean yourself before you pray. That's both for men and women. So both men and remove armpit hair and pubic hair. I take off my armpit and my pubic hair around the times of Ramadan, when you kind of have to be clean. So it's Ramadan now, and so it does sort of play a role, because I do take off hair in the sense that, you know, when I have to religiously. But apart from that, if I don't have to, in a religious sense, I probably won't.
People have a complex relationship, I think, with body hair. I think that since I was young, I think people's feelings about it have changed. I think of when I was younger, what people's expectations of what they would shave would have been their armpits and their legs. But I remember people saying, well, people in France don't shave their armpits, people in Italy don't shave their armpits. Well, certainly now, if you go to Italy or France, women do tend to shave their armpits as well. In terms of like your pubic region, I don't remember anyone ever discussing shaving that. And now you just have a sort of a wide variety of ways that people shave that area. And I think people think about it in terms of an impression of cleanliness, and that, I mean, certainly with like the, you know, pubic region and armpits, I think in particular there's that impression that there's some sort of cleaning benefit to it.
I think most men don't realise that lots of women have facial hair because women are so keen on removing it. They just don't think it's an issue, and also you don't see adverts for it. You don't see women on television like waxing this part of their face or where it joins with the eyebrows here. You never get to see hair in hair removal adverts.
It's already gone. It's just like a completely smooth leg.
It's
Let's
already
paint
gone.
a waxing strip on it and rip it
Yeah,
off.
it's really ridiculous.
Goddess is when you put your best foot forward, followed by your most beautiful leg. Your smooth, sexy Venus leg. So with Venus, let's get your goddess shown. Venus, reveal the goddess in you.
Anything else?
Okay, and let's see, what are we gonna get? Yeah, looking at your eyes this way, that's great.
I was going to say, is my elbow in your pit?
Yeah, can you see? Yeah, so let's see how we're gonna do that.
Is that better?
I see both bits, that's great. Zoltan, if you like, you want to put your arms even, kind of, how are you doing? Something like that, just like that, that's nice, that's fine. Yeah.
Right.
What do you think about women and body hair?
What do I think about it? It's one of those things where it's complete. I think it should be the person's own options whether they choose to remove. Well, they might choose to remove their moustache and leave everything else natural. I think that's completely up to the person, or at least it should be. But we are brainwashed from very young to remove body hair. It's one of those things that's just expected of us.
I remember when I was a kid and there was this little girl and she was like, you know, how do you deal with it? You know, and we were at mosque and she was, I can't remember her name, and I was like, I don't know, I just do. And I think I was about like 14, 15 when she asked, and then she was like, I don't know, and she's like, when I'm old I want to take it off, and I'm like, take off what? There's nothing there. And you sort of don't realise how at a young age they're so hyper aware of something that probably not even there half the time. What, they're 9 and suddenly they're like, oh god, I must shave my legs. I'm like, you're a 9-year-old, there is literally nothing there, I have no idea what you're on about. And it's quite interesting, but also very, very frightening, I think.
True free choice means that we can walk down the street with hairy legs, hairy armpits, a short dress, whatever we like, and it will make no difference to the treatment that we receive. And the fact is that if a young girl now who is 15, 16 years old decides not to shave, she will get lambasted, she will. And that is not free choice. That is being forced to conform, being forced to fit an ideal, and that goes as far as, I sort of see it as a continuum, if you like. And the continuum is not the right word, it's just a mass assault on women and their right to be.
You know, I still get those moments where I just feel really insecure and I think, oh, you know, why am I doing this? And it takes, you know, quite a lot of, you know, determination to get over those feelings and to kind of force yourself to just stay the way that you want to stay, and not kind of give in to the pressure. And then I imagine that's what it's like for most women who maintain their body hair and don't remove it.
I think there's loads of days where I go there and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I wish I hadn't, I wish I could just kind of hide away and, you know, sometimes you just want to get on the tube and not have anyone look at you and just kind of want to be invisible, but yet you can't because it's such a kind of prominent thing. I think everyone goes to that, regardless of, you know, what you have, whether it's someone's kind of, oh, they're not a bit insecure, maybe because my nose is a bit bumpy, or maybe their hair's a bit funny. Everyone has those days. I think it's just about, you know, what it is to someone else. Is, you know, this might be a lot for me, but it's not a lot for someone else.
I've come across a few people who seem to think of body hair as a bit of a fetish, which not quite sure whether I find that flattering or whether I find that a bit creepy. But in general, it seems to be guys are brainwashed too to think that women don't have body hair. So you get sort of the almost immediate image of disgust, and then they actually think about it, and then it doesn't seem to bother many people.
I think it's quite sad that it's so, body hair is so kind of linked to attractiveness. Like the lack of body hair in women is so linked to attractiveness in most people's heads. Personally, I actually think it's really attractive on women. I find it really, I don't know, I think it just looks adult, you know, it's quite sensual, I think, as well. But most people don't see it that way.
I think for me, I've always thought that certain hair, like armpit hair and pubic hair, I think is actually aesthetically on men and women equally attractive. So I'm not quite sure why I've always thought that, because culturally there's no reason why I should think that in particular armpit hair is more aesthetically pleasing, but I think women look more attractive with armpit hair than when they don't have it, as a personal opinion.
It's kind of like a trade-off that I have to make, that, you know, if I'm gonna own myself, I have to give up some of that sort of comfort of being considered attractive and comfort of being considered the right kind of woman. You know, I'm doing this because I want to claim my own body as my own.
If it makes you more confident to take it off, then take it off, okay? But don't take that decision so easily. Because when I was 15, I hated it, and I really didn't like having hair anywhere. And I was like, parents, I want to take it off, I want to take it off. And they were like, look, so wait till you're 18, and then we'll do whatever you feel right then. And having that kind of period of waiting and kind of, you know, being like, it's okay, I'm 18, and suddenly you realise, you know, there's so many more things in life.
It feels liberating not to shave. It absolutely feels liberating, truly. And that might seem like a silly thing to say because it's so little really, it's such a little thing for me to decide to grow my hair. But in the face of all the opposition that we see every day around us, it sometimes feels like quite a big thing and I feel quite proud, but most of all I feel liberated.
Actually, looking that way. That way, yeah. Okay, final place. This place has a lot of pollen, so sorry in advance.